episode of Technically Speaking. You know, Mark, when we were hanging around the water cooler trying to decide if we had to use filtered water or not to make our coffee, we ran into a vowel movement, which was AI. And we started talking through some of the things that have happened through this whole concept of AI. And then the old new hotness was this idea of very large language models that required a huge memory space and tremendous complexity, but afforded a very easy way of communicating with it, sort of more like natural language, right? One of the things that you mentioned to me this week were small language models, which kind of blew my mind. I'd love it if you'd walk us through a small language model. What is it?
Well, it's a very topical thing right now in the startup ecosystem, in academia, in research papers, but you nailed it, right? Large language models, I'll give you an example. Everyone's heard of ChatGPT, and it runs off a model called GPT. It has 1.7 trillion parameters. But that presents, as you point out, a ton of issues. So some customers are looking at the concept of small language models. As large language models grow larger, can we have another set of models that grows smaller? And what does smaller mean? Some of the small language models out there are as small as 1 billion parameters. Now, to put this in context, when I first started working in AI, some of the first models I built were measured in the hundreds of parameters. So it still kind of blows my mind a little bit that we're talking about small being like a billion.
You know, who you can blame is Gordon Moore, right? Like Moore's law helped us get to all this
That's
increased
exactly.
capacity, right?
You know, we've got a sizing issue going on here at several factors of Moore's law, but you're absolutely right. So there are small language models, and nowadays, kind of thumb in the wind, small means 13 billion or less. And you may say, well, like, where does that number? Does someone just like make that up? Well, one of the target environments for small language models are your phone, just and there's a limited amount of memory. You really can only fit about 13 billion cogs and wheels inside some of these devices that don't sit in a gargantuan data center. So folks are looking at these for a couple different reasons. One is small language models, apart from being much more portable, using a lot less power and a lot less memory, they're actually much faster. So the idea here is that I can make these models smaller and faster and consume less energy. I can also scale these up. So we're seeing some examples, and we'll dig into these in a bit, of where multiple small models are actually chained together.
Mm-hmm.
But probably the overwhelming reason for using small language models, they're much more accurate than large language models on a select field of expertise. So let me say that a different way. If a large language model is like a library, yes, all the answers are out there, and there may even be erroneous answers out there. A small language model is more like the user manual for your washing machine. It is very, very intelligent about that small space. And so within that small space, the idea that you're going to get a hallucination or a completely fabricated answer is much, much smaller, which if you're flying an airplane or driving a car, that's an important thing.